The global market in illicit drugs has turned into a modern war, and ground zero is Mexico. Drug cartels battle authorities and each other. Tonight, an up-close look at the enormous costs of this war as vigilante groups take on the cartels. A story told in the Oscar-nominated documentary Cartel Land. Here's ABC's Matt Gutman.
Brewing in that blue barrel is the stuff of war.
El lugar donde más drogas se ven, que es Estados Unidos.
It's meth, cooked by masked and heavily armed men deep inside the Mexican jungle.
Claro que hacemos daño, lo sabemos. Toda droga que se va para allá, pero te vuelvo a decir, hacemos de bajos recursos, estamos pobres.
The cooking process and the shootouts that ensue in the war to control the drug trade are just some of the rarely seen images blasted at you in the Oscar-nominated documentary Cartel Land. It's a chilling look into Mexico's drug war, a war so brutal. Just this week, the Pope made an emotional plea to Mexico's youth to resist the temptation of the cartels and prayed for the victims of this deadly battle.
There's this war that's happening in the country just south of us, a war in which 100,000 people have been killed since 2007. This is a war that we're responsible for.
Filmmaker Matthew Heineman spent 9 months in the Mexican state of Michoacan to bring the war there home to us. According to U.S. drug enforcement, Mexican cartels supply as much as 80% of all meth sold in the U.S.
That's why there's been, this fight for power in this area.
And a large portion of it cooked up by the Knights Templar cartel in Michoacan. Their byproducts are extortion, kidnappings, torture, and murder. The cartel wielded almost complete control for over a decade.
Eso es lo que hay aquí en Michoacán. Que ella quiere hacer justicia.
So much grief and injustice and so little government action that citizens decided to fight back. In 2013, organizing themselves into a vigilante group called the Autodefensas, or Self-Defenders, led by a larger-than-life small-town doctor named Jose Manuel Mireles.
Importante que ustedes estén unidos.
Heineman was there to capture the heady early days of this movement.
Y es hora de que saquemos las armas.
Their goal, to take down cartel members one by one.
Y para adelante todos.
But as the movement grows larger and more powerful, Heineman discovers that this is not just a story about good versus evil.
I came away from the film thinking that there is no difference between the Knights Templar and the Autodefensas. They use the same means, murder, extortion.
There are definitely members of the group that operated that way, but not everyone was like that. They rose up to protect their villages or their towns. What unfortunately took place was power corrupted.
That evil whipping up increasing violence from which not even the documentarian was immune.
Were you ever a target of the cartel?
There's countless times when I was surrounded by people, threatened. There's many, many close calls and scary moments.
The government issued an ultimatum to the vigilantes: pledge allegiance to the government and enjoy immunity or go to jail. Fearing prosecution, most surrendered and were rearmed.
Yo ya tengo este galil que me lo asignó el gobierno como parte de las fuerzas rurales.
But Mireles holds out because he believes the government itself has been corrupted by the cartels.
The very institutions that are there to protect them either weren't there or they're working in collaboration and direct collusion with the cartels.
And U.S. authorities say it's widespread corruption that makes this drug war so difficult to fight. Last July, the Mexican government was called into question when narco kingpin Joaquin El Chapo Guzman, head of the Sinaloa cartel, busted out of this prison near Mexico City through an underground tunnel built right into his cell. An escape many experts believe was pulled off with the help from the inside. Months later, authorities reportedly tracking him to this secret hideout. Seen here in this video released by the Mexican government. But El Chapo outsmarted the Mexican Marines by slipping away through this mirrored wall, designed for this exact moment.
It's incredible that right out of that closet and that mirror is this perfectly constructed secret passageway. We're going to go down the stairs here.
It led to a tunnel and then the city's drainage system. For hundreds of yards, El Chapo and his lieutenant crawled through here. He can't even crouch. It's about 3 feet high, extremely claustrophobic, and you can tell why. They came out of here looking so filthy. He was finally caught and sent back to jail, but not without exposing the weaknesses of Mexican law enforcement in the face of the cartels. And they rely on tunnels, not just as escape routes, but also as smuggling routes. This is terrifying. But it only has to be comfortable enough to do one thing: smuggle drugs fast. So far, authorities have uncovered more than 180 tunnels along the 2,000-mile-long border with Mexico. The cartels smuggle not just underground, but over it too, brazenly muling across the open border.
The cartel scouts keep getting away.
And in Cartel Land, we also meet another armed vigilante group fighting on this side of the border.
Let's go.
Arizona Border Recon is led by Tim Naylor-Foley.
Once I learned how the cartels pretty much control both the human smuggling and the drug smuggling, we shifted our primary goal to keep cartel activity out of the country.
Which is why, initially, Foley appreciated the Auto Defensa's 1,000 miles to the south in Michoacan.
They're taking back what is theirs from the cartel, and it's nice to see that they're standing up and going back at them.
But Cartel Land reminds us that power corrupts. The film showing that over time, Morales made too many enemies. He was ultimately arrested on gun charges and taken to jail, where he has languished for over 1.5 years without trial. When he heard Cartel Land was nominated for an Oscar, Morales sent Heineman this audio recording from jail.
I'm grateful for the noble gesture you guys had in making this documentary movie, that you had to suffer with me day and night in the battles that we all endured together.
As those battles continue, the chefs keep cooking up addiction and sending it northward.
Cada día hacemos más y vamos a hacer más. Porque esto no se va a acabar, ¿o sí?
At the heart of this is America's voracious appetite for drugs. You know, it's basic supply and demand. As long as there's a demand for drugs up here, there'll be a supply of drugs coming from Mexico and South America. Until that stops, you know, all this violence that comes with it won't stop.
For Nightline, I'm Matt Gutman in Los Angeles.
You can see if Cartel Land will win the Golden Statue at the Oscars February 28th, right here on ABC.